name is Loretta, or Trinity 6, and this is a Limitless Infinite, a space for you to align your mind to higher vibrations and higher frequencies. I'm here today at the ocean. I've been in the upper northwest part of the country where there's been a lot of fires recently, and have just come down to the ocean today. It's a first chance to kind of get out of that zone and get to the ocean and get some more kind of relaxed, chill vibe. So I'm super grateful for that, and just want to take a minute to say thank you and give my thanks, praise, and gratitude and appreciation to all the firefighters and other personnel and people who have been working around the clock to fight fires and basically be able to allow other people to maintain their livelihoods and keep people safe, so that we are able to go on living our lives. And so I want to send lots of love and light to them and their families, and a big thank you for everything that they've been doing that really allows other people to maintain their own lifestyles and livelihoods. And so thank you very much. I'm making this video today because in recent videos, have been talking a lot about the iampresence and getting more empowered. And I was watching recently Aaron Apke's video, and I think it was the keys to enlightenment, or the keys to spirituality. I will post the link down below in the video, but in that video he talked about suffering, and it spurred on some thoughts for me about suffering. And because there's so much suffering going on in the world today, people with the coronavirus, people with obviously the fires and racism, segregation, and politics, and there's just a lot going on, and a lot of people, I think, are kind of tapped in or tuned in, or having their attention drawn on that frequency. And as I was thinking about it, I was like, if you're thinking about yourself as like the I am presence, there's that vibration of you that is the I am, and it's never the I that suffers. So if you really think about it, when you refer to yourself as I am, or think about yourself as the I, that I is what existed before you were physically born into this physical incarnation in this 3D reality. And if you keep going back through past lives, essentially you can go back timelessly, and that I always exists, that I always exist through all of it. And when you are born, when that I is born into this physical incarnation, you're not born into it suffering. And so thus it is not the I that suffers. And so when I was really thinking about that, I realized it's the actions and experiences that we go through in this 3D reality, especially here in the lower dimensions. We have very lower vibrational frequencies. Those frequencies tend to be the things in our experience, or the actions that that are part of our experience, that creates this idea or this illusion of suffering. And so when I was thinking about it, I'm like, well, if it's the I, that part of me that existed before I was born in this physical body, if that I doesn't suffer, what is it that really suffers? Or how does this idea of suffering come about? And I realized, it's the actions themselves. Like, so if somebody does something to you and it causes what we would say creates suffering in your life, it's the action that is part of your experience that creates this thought form of suffering in your experience. And so I think some people might say the action itself is suffering. And I don't know that the action itself is suffering. The action is defined by the action, but the action is what projects out the thought form of suffering. And then it's not the I that suffers, because the I is not what manifested this vibrational frequency that we consider to be suffering. The I is not what created that suffering. It's the action that the I did, or the part of the experience that the I is in, that creates this thought form of suffering. And then I realized, suffering is really just birthed within the thought of it. So if somebody does an action to you and it is low vibrational, we perceive that in this state, that then we are in a state of suffering. But it's not the I that suffers, it's the action that creates the thought form of suffering, and then that vibrational frequency, when we basically give our attention to it, when we allow our I presence to be focused on it, we start resonating with this thought form frequency, and then suffering becomes what you might call manifest in your reality. But it's not actually the I that suffers. And then when you think about, well, if I'm an I, and all of the other people that you know are eyes, or plants even, or animals even, if all of those energies were born into their physical incarnations here on this physical 3D planet, then all of those eyes are not what suffers. And all of those eyes were born into this life not suffering. So it's, I think, a little bit easier when you think of yourself as an I, but when you look around at all the people around you, you understand and bring your awareness that all of those energies are also eyes, and those eyes that can be traced back all the way to what people might say source, but infinitely or eternally or timelessly, those eyes are never what suffers. It's just the experience that we share that creates this thought form, and then resonating with that thought form brings into your experience this idea of suffering. And the reason I say it's an illusion is because it's not the I that suffers. It's when you are allowing your awareness to be focused on that frequency, then you resonate with it, and then all of a sudden you believe that you are suffering, but it's not actually you. The I doesn't suffer. It's just your attention on that thought form that creates this whole illusion in your reality that you are suffering. And so I wanted to basically just make a short video, like bringing people's awareness and attention to that, because I think if you can really think about your I am presence, and you think about how you existed as that I am before you were born, and whatever life you had before that, you existed as I before that, and I before that. And if you just think about going back and back and back, you could literally just keep thinking. That's why I say timelessly that I has always existed, but that I is not what suffers. That I is birthed into a life, and that experience creates these illusions, and those are illusions are created by the actions of other eyes as part of your experience. So if you have two eyes that are having an experience, and both of those eyes are not what suffers, it is the action that's happening between you, and the action itself isn't suffering. It's the action is low vibrational, and low vibrational things create this thought form, and then when we resonate with that thought form, we birth this idea of suffering into existence. And so I think that that's really important, because it takes out of your mind this idea that life is suffering. We have what I would say an experience that has this illusion of suffering, and I think for many people, part of growing as a soul is that you live lives and you have experiences that take you through that, because suffering can be a great catalyst for spiritual growth or evolution. But when you reach a certain level, you can get to the understanding that yes, you may experience suffering, or yes, you may allow your attention to be drawn to it, but now if you bring your awareness to the fact that suffering only exists as this thought form frequency from low vibrational actions, then you know that it is not you that actually suffers. It's literally just your attention on this frequency. And so then you can use different tools that you may have learned, or things like the law of forgiveness, or just forgiving other people, where you are able to consume and transmute that frequency. So when someone does something to you, and then you feel like you're suffering, or something happens to you, you know that it's not suffering is the thought form. There is a low vibrational action that happened that created this thought form. And what you really want to do is focus on what tools you have that you can use to consume and transmute this low vibrational energy. And this is just ties in with the most recent video I made, which is that if you recognize an energy as discordant, so let's say, for example, like there's me and someone else, and someone hit me, and in a way that causes suffering. And so I know, okay, this suffering that I feel emotionally, physically is this thought form. The action that was low vibrational was being hit. That action is actually discordant to me. I know that because it's creating this other thought form of suffering. And when I recognize that, I am already existing as the higher frequency that is able to recognize this other lower vibrational action, this hitting, as this discordant energy. And when you recognize that as discordant energy, you are here, you are already existing as a higher frequency, and then you're able to understand that you can just consume and transmute these lower frequencies. And like I think I even said in the video, what I do is just say to myself internally or out loud, I am, and you can say, I am the mighty I am presence, or I am the presence consuming, transmuting these negative feelings inside me, or anything along those lines that feels comfortable for you. But when you say it out loud, you can really start to harness the energy within you that you have to be able to just consume those vibrational frequencies that feel like they're being kind of like birthed into your existence, and you can start to physically transmute them, energetically transmute them through your own thought form and knowledge and belief that you know that you exist as a higher frequency, because that's the only way you can recognize something as lower vibrational or discordant. And then when you are able to do that, you start to fully encompass and also live in that idea that it is not the I that suffers. The I is the part of you that is that higher vibration that recognizes, okay, this is lower vibration, this is discordant, this is something negative. And so when you feel that difference, you recognize, okay, it's not the I that suffers, because the I is the me that it recognizes this action or this part of my experience as this discordant vibration. That's the I in you, that I that doesn't suffer, that isn't the thing that suffers. That's the thing that consumes and transmutes that before it really coalesces into a thought form of suffering. Because suffering is really a vibration that is more sustained. Like when we think of suffering, it's something that you're enduring for a long time. You know, if something is short and quick and it just happens once and you never, you know, you wouldn't necessarily say that you suffer from it. Suffering is like when you, and this is something I've spoken about before, is when you engage with a frequency and then you start resonating with it, it's like you're almost on an energetic level becoming more entangled with it. And that's like, suffering is when you attach your attention and start engaging into a frequency, and then you are basically becoming more and more entangled with it. And then your frequency isn't low, that frequency, but you're giving all your attention to it. And so then it has this illusion that you are living in this suffering vibration. You're really not. Like if you think something is suffering, then you already exist as a higher vibration, and you can use that energy and that knowledge to consume and transmute it. But often we just don't know that we're not bringing our awareness to the fact that you already exist as this higher vibration. You're not bringing to your awareness the ability to speak words or to tap into that part of yourself that is this I am presence that can consume and transmute that. And of course it's, you know, for people it takes a lot of practice. I think it takes time. You have to recognize those frequencies, you have to recognize that part of yourself, and then you have to really implement and start to bring into practice the act of consuming and transmuting it. And when you do it enough, it can become like second nature and you're able to do it. But even for me, there are times I really have to focus my attention and say to myself, this is what I'm doing, I'm consuming, transmuting this. But I think it's really important to know that, you know, yes, up until now, suffering has been a part of our experience, not just as individuals, but as humans, as a species, and it has allowed a lot of growth. And I think suffering can tend to be a catalyst for people to really come into understanding empathy for other humans, because it's through our suffering that we are able to empathize with other people's suffering. But now we're coming into a time of great, you know, light and love, and I think that if we can harness these higher vibrations that we already exist as, that's what is, you know, we are all light, but we're becoming more illuminated, and using our ability to qualify this light energy in a way that can help people sustain these higher vibrations that we exist as, and not allow our high vibrations to be focused and give our attention to these low vibrations. That's really where we start to illuminate our inner light, and we begin to shine a lot more, because we're not just focused on on something that's lower vibrational or discordant, we're really focusing our internal energy and our internal light to be able to transmute or transcend these experiences. And when we do that as individuals, we are able to help others around us, and we are able to resonate at higher vibrations, which in our higher vibrations basically, you know, become infused in not our experience but our collective experiences that we have with one another. So anyway, I wanted to make this video. It was fast. I just thought it was kind of an important video. I watched that video from Aaron Apke. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. Put the description in the link below. Always a lot of really good information. I really love that channel. But if you can, start implementing into your practice your ability to consume and transmute these discordant energies, and really think about how the I am that you are, the I that you have always existed as, is not what suffers. It's just the experience, it's the actions, it's the other lower three-dimensional vibrations that happen in this physical world that create this idea of suffering. And suffering really only exists as a thought form. And when we give our attention to it, we resonate with this frequency, and then it becomes part of our experience. But it is not we as individuals don't suffer. And it's, I think, easier to look around at other people when you realize that you're an I am, but so is everyone else, whether they have fully realized it or not. It's easier to understand that this is really just a thought form that kind of just exists between people. You know, it's like in the energetic information field, but it's not actually manifested within us. It just exists outside us, and what we're doing is basically like when more and more people resonate with this vibration, it becomes very amplified, and it's here, but we have the ability now to start transmuting that. So I hope this video was helpful. I hope that everyone is staying safe from the fires, and that you are finding time to come down and enjoy a little bit of Gaia and Pachamama and good vibes from the ocean. And if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.